Hey, what's going on, guys, and welcome back. So this is a question that I've been getting a lot from you guys with regards to palworld, and it was never planned for this to be its own video, but that's kind of the nice thing about being a creator who actually interacts with their audience. I will oftentimes base my videos off of interesting things you guys say and talk about, or whatever. Anyways, a lot of people have been touting palworld as a Pokemon game with guns, and I've pushed back on this a little bit just because, yes, while the game obviously has Pokemon-esque creatures that wield guns, in all actuality, it's a survival game and plays nothing like your typical Pokemon experience. That being said, this video is mostly about the people who have been asking about whether or not you have to play palworld with guns because they want to play without them, and those that complain that maybe the guns are too realistic and don't match the otherwise more anime and cartoony aesthetic. I personally disagree with this. I think the realistic guns actually add to the jarring effect that is essentially palworld's identity and the brutality that exists within the world, but nevertheless, are the guns actually needed? This is a tricky question because it's going to depend on what you want from the game. If you're playing on a preset difficulty, I'd say that even on easy mode, you're probably going to need guns for the most part, especially for the late game bosses. When it comes to fighting any of the alphas or anything in the overworld or dungeons or whatever, there's no need to really worry about DPS that much because you can essentially just stall an enemy out and allow your pals to do the fighting for you. You could take 30 minutes to beat a boss and it doesn't matter, but this isn't the case with the tower bosses who have massive HP pools and require a lot of DPS. The first couple tower bosses can most definitely be beaten just with a bow and arrow or crossbow and a strong pal, but when you get into the 3 higher level ones who have 120, 150, and 200,000 HP respectively, coupled with the 10-minute timer that's associated with each of these tower fights, guns become pretty much essential because even at max level, your pals are still being controlled by AI and aren't necessarily going to make optimal moves. I'm not going to say it's absolutely impossible because there's probably some crazy niche strat that I haven't figured out, but the assault rifle really does add an insane amount of damage and it's something you really can't pass up when fighting some of these bosses. Now that being said, that does not mean you can't achieve something like this in a custom world that you create. palworld features a ton of custom options, and if you're trying to circumvent guns for whatever reason, you could easily make a world where player damage is maxed out against enemies, then make a personal choice not to utilize any of the guns in question. The outpost enemies and human enemies will still use them, but you don't necessarily have to. Even in preset difficulties, the only real thing I'd see you not being able to achieve without guns is a few of the tower bosses, but keep in mind, when I'm putting this video together, I'm the only one playing it, other than a few other content creators that I haven't had any contact with. You can invite people to challenge the tower bosses with you, and I can't confirm whether or not this will increase their HP just because a lot of these videos are pre-recorded and pre-planned, but having a squad of crossbow users might do the trick as well when 4 pals are attacking the boss at once, but that's going to be something I go over when discussing how multiplayer affects the bosses and whatnot in a future video. I do believe that the guns in the game are part of the core mechanic. However, palworld has so much customization that you could circumvent this to an extent by increasing your player's damage output, so I definitely think that while not optimal, you can enjoy the game without guns, just on a custom setting. Furthermore, the game will eventually have mods. The devs are making it very easy to mod the game from what I hear, so I could definitely see some servers where bow and crossbow damage is heightened even further. There are some close range weapons in the game too, however, I found that they're not that great, but they're still fun to use. And with player damage turned way up, they're actually pretty strong, if not super useful against the bosses who move around a lot. Anyways, guys, I hope this video is useful for you. If you want more palworld content, including guides, breakdowns, news updates, and more, definitely subscribe to the channel. I put out new videos every single day. You can check out my Twitter, Discord, Patreon, and channel memberships linked below. And special thanks to the patrons and supporters, especially Jim Hamilton, Dro Ghost, Candy Marunci, and Tragsoft, and we'll see you next time. Peace.